Did you notice anything? Anybody?
Yes, I do. I wanted to eat because I didn't eat all the morning.
Yeah.
I had to go into work in the morning.
Yeah.
So my mind was disturbed all the time.
Yeah.
And even if I have a so beautiful place around my house, so I couldn't rest. I just, why should I do it? No. Okay, motivation. No. In the end, I just broke down, go to eat, go to drink.
That's good.
And then I sit like a Buddha and said, okay, now I can relax.
Yeah, right.
But it was quite hard.
Well, I didn't say you shouldn't do it. I said, look what happens and then consume or whatever, whatever pulls you, do whatever you wanted to do.
No, but I wanted to do it and I wanted to see if where it take me.
Yeah.
And
okay. So, but
when you're not peaceful, so it's quite hard.
Yeah. So the lid, but you said you were hungry. So we have these needs that we need to fulfill. That's fine. But me, for example, I was just walking around and then I saw the grapes. Before I saw the grapes, I had absolutely no wish for grapes. The moment I see it, zack. And this is, in the 12 links of dependent arising, when they go, we have the 5 senses, we can make contact, feelings arise, grasping arise. So it's the contact with something that wakes up these imprints that we have created before that tell us, oh, this is good, right? But it's not really true. And if you just watch the thing and you feel that the pull decreases actually, and this is what Orit was describing, is when you sit in retreat and you can't go anywhere, you can't consume anything, these imprints of Shempa, these imprints of reaching out or, the pull decreases, and then we have much more peace of mind, right? So this is how it goes. But every time we reach out unconsciously almost, then another imprint is being created and there's more reaching out and more reaching out and more reaching out. So then, of course, the beach and mountains and all this is healthier, but then the shopping mall, but it's also attachment. We have to see that. What would you do if there's no more beach? Or, what would you do if you can't go to the beach anymore because you're sick or because you're too old or whatever? And this is what happens with many, many, many beings. I mean, many. I used to lie a lot when I was younger. Now I just exaggerate. So also, but there's quite a few beings that I meet when they're old. They're so discontent. Why? Because they cannot find pleasure anymore in objects because the body is not made for that anymore. And all they go is like, oh, I can't do this anymore. And oh, I can't do this anymore. Do you know people like this? And it's very difficult to give them happiness because the only happiness they know is happiness that comes from objects. So when we hear this, we can be careful and we can say, it's good to find, yes, happiness in an object, but then expand that happiness by thinking, wow, somebody produced it. May they be happy, may they be well, like this. So this is what we're trying to do. This is not my food, it's not my clothes, it's not my blouse. Somebody else produced it. How wonderful. Thank you very much. So then it goes into gratitude. Yeah. And the more happy you are, actually, the less you need pleasures. Yeah. The more dissatisfied you become. And this is these imprints. Every time we reach out, we create another imprint for dissatisfaction. Right. So then the happier and the more relaxed you are, the smallest thing becomes like, wow. This is amazing. It's so beautiful, blah, blah. The more unhappy you are, the less the pleasures work. And we all know how it is, when you feel sad and depressed and people want to cheer you up. Has it ever happened to you? No, you're never depressed. You're never sad. You don't have friends who want to cheer you up.
Yes, of course.
Of course. Yes. Thank you. So with what do they want to cheer you up?
Dinner, movie, go out, drink something, be happy.
Okay. And how do you feel when they suggest these things?
I get mad.
You feel?
Mad, angry.
Yes, exactly. Because in that state, you understand these things only work when you're already happy. Then you understand that this is why we get angry, because we feel not being understood.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then actually, so these states of mind, you know, the sadness, this is what brings more understanding than when we're happy all the time, by the way. Because when we're happy all the time, we become like a long-lived God. Everything is okay. Everything is wonderful. Why should I practice? Why should I try to find happiness somewhere else? So that's why these states of mind where we don't feel well, we understand much more of what the Buddha says in those states of mind. I had a friend of mine that she was, you know, very rich, known, wrote books, wrote a book, again, you know, exaggeration, wrote a book, and many friends. She's done so many good things in her life. She was heavily depressed most of the time, and I just let her be depressed. I just listened to her. So when I called and it was spring and the weather was beautiful, and I told you, you know, in Switzerland, we still get excited about nice weather because it's, you know, the weather is not good most of the time. So I called her and said, hi, how are you? And she says, I'm not well, but how did she say? No, I think she started saying, I know the weather is nice, but I don't feel good about it. It's like, you know, because so many people, when she says, I'm not well, they say, oh, but look, the weather is so nice and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And as you say, as Iri says, you feel insulted. You feel not understood because you have understood that when we are in that state, pleasures don't work. And when we're already happy, then of course we don't need all these outside pleasures. Is that clear? So you see, nobody says you should not enjoy pleasures, because you will enjoy pleasures. The moment your mind makes contact with an object, then if it's a positive imprint, you feel pleasure, right? Then is the crucial moment when you become aware of it and you go like, ah, this is not mine. It's not the object. It's this and this and this. And your pleasure will not decrease, by the way, by doing that. You will become more, you will find another source of happiness or pleasure is a quiet, peaceful, open mind. And a non-nutnik mind. Okay?
Can I ask something?
Yes, of course.
I find myself making, like, for example, special tea. So I'm collecting things and dry them and cutting them. And then it becomes a very nice tea. Sometimes I'm selling it also.
Okay.
So it makes me calm down. So I find myself, instead of sitting, doing something, but it calm me down.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. You see, the thing is, again, because also then I was trying to sit and I was just sitting and I was just sitting. Then all of a sudden I said, oh, I could start cooking. You know, it's like, it's really good to see how difficult it is for us, for me at least, just to sit and not to do anything, because we have learned so much that we're only somebody and we're only a good person when we are doing something, isn't it? Achieving, we're such achievers. We always want to achieve something. So, but you see now, whatever you do, if you do it with the thought, I'm doing this because at the moment I feel really restless and I'm not able to just sit and watch that restlessness. Because if you have the courage to sit with it, it will calm down. It takes a long time sometimes, but it will calm down. You see, it's not following every time the thing that is easiest to do. Now, if you do your tea and all this, oh, it calms me down. This is very narrow, you know. But if you think, when I'm calm, I don't insult anybody. I'm not angry at anybody. I can understand the nature of my mind, which is calm and peaceful, much better. And you do it for that purpose, then the motivation becomes much wider. And the imprint that you create goes much further. It will carry you to understanding the nature of your mind. So again, it's all about motivation, why we're doing things, you know. So, or if you, again, you know, if you go, like yesterday I said, when you have lung, it's good to drink beer. So when you take the beer like a medicine, it is a totally different attitude than when you just drink beer for pleasure. And it creates a different imprint. Every thought we have, every action we do, it creates imprints. And all these imprints make like a plan, you know, like an architect, it makes a plan for our next rebirth, if the imprint is very strong. And then it gets put into a drawer. And then at the time of death, we have all these plans for our next rebirth is. And, you know, according to the state of mind at the time of death, one drawer gets opened and one plan comes out. We totally underestimate the power of our mind and our actions. Yeah, this is it. And this is what is creating dukkha or happiness. You know, it's not only suffering, but what is creating suffering is karma and our negative emotions that we do action with. What is creating happiness is karma and our positive actions. And, you know, whether the karmic action becomes positive or negative, yesterday we discussed, it depends on your state of mind when you do the action. So, of course, you know, you can drink a lot of beers and think, oh, I'm doing this to be calm, so then I understand the nature of my mind, blah, blah, blah. But you're not at all honest, you know. But whom are you cheating? Are you cheating the Buddha? Are you cheating your teachers, or are you cheating yourself? Whom are you cheating? Yeah. And this whole thing about, I think I don't need an answer. We know we're only cheating ourselves. You see, when you do these things in a kind of hypocritical way, you're only cheating yourself, because then it creates even worse karma. Because deep down, you know it's not positive. Okay? Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's like, if you do so-called positive actions, whatever, but your motivation is really rotten, what it creates as result, it creates a mixed result. Like if you are, for example, a Swiss pharmaceutical company, which we have quite a few of them, and you know, you create a vaccine now, and you invested a lot of money in creating that vaccine, and then you kind of then you see that, ooh, there's too many side effects, and you decide to donate it to Africa because they don't have money to buy the vaccine. So it's of course a generous act, but because you want to have a good reputation because you donated the vaccine, then the motivation is rotten. So what will happen with this karmic imprint? You know, I'm just guessing, I'm just assuming. In your next lives, because it's generous to, instead of throwing them away, you give them to other people, but you know what will happen. So you might be very rich, but you might be very unhappy about it. There will be no mental happiness about being rich. Yeah, and we can see, you know, so many rich people suffer from depression, anxiety, do all kinds of things to get even richer, you know, do all kinds of unethical conduct to become richer. I mean, you know, it just came out again, these Pandora Papers, where Switzerland, you know, like banks and lawyers and whatever, there's so much involved in helping these people hiding their money. For what? To earn more money that they won't be able to spend in one lifetime? I mean, this is where our ignorance and wrong views are taking them. These people have the view, I need to be richer, then I will be happier, because they're unhappy. And that's a wrong view. And very often, you know, people say, oh, I'm not happy because blah, 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 nobody likes me, I have financial problems, I don't have a good job and all this. Nobody ever says, I am not happy because I don't know how to love properly. I don't know how to love myself. I don't know how to love others. And this is what is creating happiness. Yeah. So when we learn how to love ourselves properly, we do a meditation like this in the afternoon. When we learn how to love ourselves properly, then we can also love others We need the necessities, and that's it. If we have more, wonderful, because it's our karma to have more, but then we share. And we're happy to have a lot of possessions because then we can share, not because we want to have a good reputation, but just because we want to help others who don't have so much. Yeah? Is that clear?
Yes. Can I share something?
Yes, please. Because you see, the sharing, especially in these things, is so important. It's even more important than covering all the points of the teachings because you come across them again. Yes, please.
Yes. In the Afsaka, in the intermission that we had, I was trying to think about what you said, that we always need to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And it came to my mind that I retired this year.
Mm-hmm.
And since I retired, even before I retired, everybody asked me, what are you going to do?
Right.
And I said nothing. And some people looked at me like, what? Mm-hmm. And I always, I try to tell, there is a film, old French film, Alexandre Bienheureux, that he lost his wife that was telling him always what to do. And on the funeral, he said, the people said, what are you going to do now? And he said nothing. And he really did nothing. He just lay in bed. He built a structure that he push a button and it brings his breakfast to bed. And he's doing nothing and he's happy. And I think all our life we are being educated to do.
Right.
Always have to do something. Always have to think about the next steps. What are you going to do? And if you don't have something to do, you begin to be restless.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a habit. But also we do, we are, as long as we are in samsara, we have to do things. Like we have to breathe. If you breathe in, you have to breathe out. Otherwise you die. If you can't lie in bed the whole day also. You cannot eat the whole day. You cannot just, you have to get up in the morning to go to the toilet. Okay, you can go back to bed. So this is what the Buddha means by suffering of change. Whatever feels pleasant, at one point we have to change something so that it doesn't go into suffering. Yeah. And the mind likes to have an object. So it's fine to do things, but then do something worthwhile, something that brings us out of suffering instead of creating more suffering for the future. This is what the Buddha is saying, And so when you go into retreat, it's painful to just sit and nothing is happening. But then the mind starts to come more calm, more clear. Then we feel what we really are. Then we know what pleasure is. Otherwise, we never get there.
Yeah, but what I'm asking myself is, how do I make the difference between what I want and what I need? Like, okay, now it's sometimes like I did that, and it became a habit, and I want to go to the next things. Mm-hmm. Is it from needing or wanting? Is it the new shoes that I want to buy? Also, I have my old one and they are good, or is it grasping, or you called it grasping?
Well, it depends. It depends a little bit. Grasping is saisir in French. Yeah, if you speak French.
Okay.
Yeah. If you're the only one who can really answer that by looking at what's the motivation. What do I really want? It's a very good exercise when you are feeling, restless and this. You look where does the mind pull you? Does it pull you to the phone? Does it pull you to the fridge? Does it pull you to the mountain or to the beach? That's the moment when you feel restless or dissatisfied, to look, where does it pull me? And then you start to ask, what do I really want? And then the mind will say, I want to be happy. In very simple way, I want to be well. I want to be happy. I want to be peaceful. And then you go, okay, the phone, is that going to be the cause? The fridge, the food, is that? What do I want, chocolate pudding, or do I want happiness? You know, and then we start to look, where does the Buddha say, where is happiness? Happiness is in a peaceful mind. It's not the Buddha, it's also Dalai Lama who says that. And he says, if we want to have outer peace, first we have to create inner peace. And inner peace we can create, we feel it, it's a sensation. That's the good thing about these emotions, that we, and mind states, we can experience them. Yeah. So it's complicated. It's because it's, you know, there's nothing that is black and white. There's nothing that is really true or really wrong, really right or really wrong. And this again, Nagarjuna at one point, he says, you know, because people go, what is true? What's the truth? There's this seeking for truth. And there is no truth. There's no real truth, because if you have a real truth, you need to have something that is untrue. Then already you have dualism. You know, if something is real true, you can't have an opposite. The moment you need an opposite, and then it becomes conventional reality. Yeah, in order to know truth, you need to know untruth. So he said, whatever leads to happiness, not just for yourself, but also for others, and to lasting happiness, that is true. I thought that was really kind of good definition of truth. Yeah. And you see all the conflicts that we have, where people have different opinions. Deep down, we're totally convinced my opinion is right. And so people who listen to Dharma teachings, they have more or less the same opinions, like political opinions, political parties, and so on. But there's other people who are just as convinced that their opinion is right. And then it's conflict. Now, if we can let go of right and wrong and just maybe think different, and then also, but go, you know, not just tolerate everybody who kind of is creating a lot of havoc in the world because of their extremism or whatever, but then to look, okay, what is more beneficial for the happiness of all? But we can't fix the world. This is what the Buddha is saying. We can try and we can behave in a certain way. We can behave in a certain way so that we're not creating negative karma. When we don't have many negative imprints, nobody can attack us. So nobody becomes an aggressor. So this is really big view now. Yeah, this is looking very big. My personal responsibility at the moment is not to create negative karma, so nobody can become an aggressor. And this will help the world. Whatever else I can do actively, cleaning up, you know, not consuming so much, and I should definitely do. Tongsa Khinchen says that the truth brings us, I have to open it, that the truth brings us closer to non-duality. Exactly. A real truth cannot be dualistic. It's impossible. You know, when we go like, what is really true? Things are conventionally true. That is true. But when we want to go to, you know, when he talks about non-duality, when we want to understand the nature of things, which is an emptiness, emptiness is not a true, well, it's ultimate truth, because in there things appear the way that they exist, like nothingness, but it's not, how to say, it has no function. Emptiness has no function. And if we have ultimate truth and conventional truth, they go together. You cannot separate them. But we don't see the ultimate nature of things. We get stuck in inherent existence, something that we add to whatever we see. And then it becomes external, dualistic. Like, you know, I don't see that the way I see the mountains depends on my mind. Like, what I see is a reflection of something. And I think that the reflection is real. It's like seeing your face in the mirror, and you see a spot on your face and you start to clean the mirror. We would never do that, because we know that the reflection is not the real face. But whatever we touch, see, taste, think, we think it's real. We don't see that it depends on the mind. Yeah, we think it's separate from the mind. And this is when they talk about non-dualistic thinking, or how did you say? Well, I have to open again. Brings us to non-duality. And this is what we have to understand. The moment, as long as we don't know non-duality, we will be suffering, sometimes very gross suffering, like suffering of pain. Very often for us, suffering of change, that whatever we touch or whatever we consume, boom, it turns into discontent, unless you touch it with non-attachment. Of course, you know, if you touch the things with non-attachment, and attachment also says, I want this to be mine, I want to possess it. Yeah. Everything you touch with non-attachment, you see with non-attachment, you enjoy it, that's fine. But you also enjoy, you also know that if you have a pleasant feeling by seeing the thing, it's not the object, or vice versa. Yeah, this is what we want, to understand the nature of reality. And that's difficult. But then we look at a few more sufferings, and then we go into the causes of suffering. Because these other sufferings that the Buddha also pointed out is like, this is kind of easier to understand. So it's uncertainty, yeah? There is nothing that we can trust in samsara. So samsara, again, you know, samsara is not outside. Samsara is our mind. Samsara is when we don't see non-duality, when we don't even know about non-duality. The moment you start to intellectually know about non-duality, the things lose their grip on us. They're not so solid anymore. And when they're not so solid anymore, the negative emotions that arise, or the emotions that arise, we can easily dissolve them. You see, when you are in a movie, and it's very sad, you know, and you cry and all this, but the moment the movie is finished, you're not walking out of the, yeah, well, maybe you're still sad, but you're not taking this to the next day, because you understood this is a reflection, this is a projection. Okay, it's not real. So this is also, it's a very good thing, you know, it looks like real, but it's not true. Then these strong emotions don't have so much effect anymore, and they go very quickly. Or when you're in the movie or in a dream and you're afraid, yeah, the emotion is very strong. As long as the movie or the dream continues, you can, you know, the emotion will not go away in the dream. In the movie, you can say, oh, come on, it's just a movie. But if you keep looking, you know, then if you keep looking, then the fear or the emotion or the anger or whatever against the aggressor, it's not going away. The moment you understand it's projection, the emotion goes. The moment we don't know it's a projection, the emotion stays, you know. So this is why thinking about emptiness is really a very good way of dealing with strong emotions. But also, why are we talking about the unpleasantness of our present existence? Is because we want to get out of it, because we could have it in a better way if you want. Don't know if you remember at the end of the meditation, I said, everybody can become a Buddha, but nobody has to. You know, if you say, my existence, I like it, this is it, well, that's it, fine, perfect. You know, nobody wants to convince you of anything that you don't want to accept. This is why the Buddha said, don't accept anything I'm saying, but examine it, look at it, you know, try it out if it has some meaning for you. If it has no meaning, then throw it out. His Holiness says the same thing. Listen to what Buddhism says. If you think it has no meaning, then that's it, finished. You know, you do something else. Nobody will get upset at you, and nobody will think that you're stupid, and nobody will judge you for this. This is your right not to accept these points. Okay, so uncertainty. Well, now I'm asking you again. You know, I just said everybody can think whatever they want. Uncertainty, what you think? Is there anything that we can totally be certain about? And that thing that we can be totally certain about is that pleasant. What's the only certainty that we have?
Dead.
Going to
Exactly.
die.
That we're going to die. That's about the only certainty that we have in life. But the moment of death, we have no certainty. People try to kill themselves, they don't succeed, for example. At any moment, we can lose everything that we are cherishing or attached to. And this is not satisfying. It's not a satisfying situation. You know, we can lose our interest in practicing the Dharma. We can lose our friends. They turn against us. We haven't done anything. Has it ever happened to you? Is it painful? This is very painful. You know, you go and apologize for, you don't even know what you have to apologize for. You want to make it up. You're especially kind, but no, finished. They don't want to know you anymore. This is suffering. So this is what the Buddha says. This uncertainty is suffering. So even, you know, even we kind of have a house and it's, you know, around it is security guards and there's big walls and there's electricity and and nobody can enter it and all this, we can still fall into depression. So, okay, nobody can come from outside, but then we still can have unhappy moments. So it's like, there's nowhere we can protect ourselves from feeling into an unhappy state. And that's that uncertainty. We can lose our money, we can lose our knowledge. And this is why also old age is such, for many people, is such a big problem. Yeah, because you lose your capacities. And so if we, you know, if we kind of created an identity, very intelligent, I know a lot of things, I have good memory, and, you know, I can figure things out. And all of a sudden you feel that this is going, wow, this is so much suffering. If we take it into consideration that this will happen, if we take it into consideration now that this will happen, you know, we appreciate that it hasn't happened yet, instead of being afraid of it. And then when it happens, well, it happens, you know. This is why I keep saying, oh, such a bad memory. I do have a bad memory. I go from here to there and I forget why I go there, you know, and sometimes I can bring it back, but most of the time I can't. So I can be very upset about this, but it's just, that's it, you know. And I can just say, okay, that's it. For the moment, I still know who I am. What a good, it's fantastic. Yeah, so this is what, to some people it happens earlier, to some people it happens later. I told you I was an alcoholic, so you destroy a lot of brain cells with drinking a lot of alcohol. And I was an alcoholic from about 15 to 35, 20 years. So this is it. You know, this is why I keep telling people I should stop teaching, because like, you know, I look at the notes, they're here, and then I think, I want to say this, and I forgot what I want to say, and something else is coming out. So if yeah, so it's not my responsibility, because I keep telling the Dharma friends, you, anytime you can tell me, oh no, better you stop teaching, you tell me to stop, and I don't teach anymore. This is it. I can still entertain you. This I think I can still do, but you know, teaching proper Dharma, not so sure. And I'm not doing this for fishing for compliments. This is my conventional reality at the moment. My memory is really, really decreasing. And, you know, I used to put a lot of stress on myself by, you know, here notes and there notes and there notes. And I just let go. Like the meditation this morning, it just came. I didn't prepare anything. So I trust my kind of more subtle consciousness, who still remembers things when it's in a calm state, than the intellect, and sometimes something comes and sometimes it doesn't. This is the way it is. It's reality, you know. So we can either accept it and relax about it, or we can just hide and fake and, you know, not be honest. A friend of mine also, she's dement, and so she goes to the shop and she says, listen, in case I behave in a strange way, please don't be upset. It's not about you. I have dementia. And here is the phone number that please call that person if I totally freak out. She's honest like this. And she doesn't suffer. I mean, she suffers, of course, but she's actually quite happy. Yeah. So we can take these people as an example. Okay, uncertainty, because this is also pretty certain that we won't be able to keep our capacities until we die. You know, we lose our looks, we lose our capacity, our flexibility, our memory. We can work against it. We can do yoga, good food, maybe medicine, meditation, spiritual practices. But the moment we stop, boom, it will go the other way. Yeah, that's samsara. We have to put a lot of effort into upkeeping some kind of illusion that everything is okay. The moment we stop eating, breathing, washing, doing, woof, it goes the other way. Yeah. Unsatisfactoriness, it's also, we cannot, this is what I said this morning, we cannot help not to be not satisfied because we have wrong views. Yeah. Of course you can train satisfaction, but still, it's still there. Much less, you need much less things, but you know, being totally always satisfied, we're not. This is why we make so much progress. Yeah. So when you do spiritual practices also, be careful that you're not doing them just to be a bit more satisfied, a bit more happy, a bit more this and that. Because I got very upset in my first course in Copan when they gave me all this. And I said, look, I'm here. I just want to be a little bit more calm and a little bit more happy. I don't want to all this stuff here. This is too much. And then, but slowly, you know, I started to understand they're giving me the best. They're giving me a very far-reaching method. So why not taking? Why not have as a motivation, I want to be free of suffering and the causes of suffering? Because otherwise I stop, you know. I stop when I feel, it's working. I'm a bit more happy, I'm a bit more calm, I'm a bit more compassionate and understanding. And then I stop practicing. And then what will happen at the time of death? What will happen in next life? I don't know. Yeah. So this is why the motivation always, I want to become a full enlightened being. So I have all these capacities to help others, as Nagarjuna was describing in the 20 verses. Yeah. So I become like a forest, a mountain, a beach, a shopping mall for beings to enjoy. That whoever meets, hears, sees, thinks about me, talks to me, that it will only be of benefit to them. That is such a good motivation. When you get up in the morning, you know, you think that, may I be of benefit? Just this one thought. Yeah, whatever I'm doing today may be of benefit. So at the beginning, it might be totally fake. With time, it will become honest. You know, with time, it will become the attitude, wanting to be of benefit. And then you very naturally reach out to people. Sometimes it gets on their nerve and they go, leave me alone. Then you leave them alone. But your heart is still open and you're not upset when they say, oh, come on, leave me alone. Because also people have to learn to deal with problems themselves. Yeah. You know, it can also become a syndrome, kind of needing to help others in order to feel good about yourself. Do you know people like this? Who never look at their own problems, but are constantly outside kind of helping others? Do you want to be like them? Not necessarily, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. So where were we? Unsatisfactoriness. This is one part also. It's not satisfying, but because of unsatisfactoriness, we make a lot of progress. But we're going, you know, the progress is going in the wrong direction. We're going more and more and more away from nature, and we're having more and more suffering. If we look, you know, mental suffering. I'm not talking about pain. You know, people are not really. Well, they are dying from hunger, but not where we live. But there's a lot of mental suffering, yeah, with all this progress that we are making. So I wonder if that's really progress. You know, more computers, more this, more that. Again, it's not black and white. Computers have benefits, advantages. Mobile phone have advantages, but they also can be used in totally the wrong way. So even, you know, also the object itself It's not either good or bad. It's the way we use it. So then another thing that is not satisfying, maybe instead of suffering, we should do like not satisfying. We repeatedly have to leave the body again and again and again in every life, and repeatedly have to be reborn again and again and again. So basically what it means, we have to leave this body, everything we build up, we have to leave it behind for what? In order to start again. Yeah. Yet, next life, yet we could get out of this cycle and develop our mind to its fullest potential. So we have a choice where we're going to be reborn. Yeah. So otherwise it's like, you know, building sandcastles right next to the sea. And whenever a wave comes, like one life is finished, the wave comes, woof, sandcastle is gone, right? And then we just start to build up again and again and again and again. And we cry, you know, oh, yeah, like that, when things get destroyed. So every time we have to start again. We take, the only thing we take with us is our karmic imprints, our habits, our tendencies, our merits, and our negative karma. So we can go to next life with a very good bank account, but that bank account is in the mind. It's our merits that come from our virtuous deeds. Oh, okay. Next, we're constantly moving from high to low. Wow, you know, it is so easy to go to low. It is so difficult to go too high. Right, isn't it? Yeah, it's like, but that's it. When we get older, we lose our capacities. I think it is, what is it, Dharmakirti who says, I might be wrong, yeah, so it's a Kirti, I don't know if it's Chandrakirti or Dharmakirti, who says, we are traveling in samsara like a bucket in a well, okay? So we are held by the tight rope. You know, the bucket in a well, you know what it is, yeah? Well, like when they took water like this with the bucket. So we are held by the tight rope of the ignorance of self-grasping, you know, grasping at the real, true, truly existent self. That's what is holding us. We are traveling up and down by the handle that is turning this rope. Yeah, so we're kind of traveling around, up and down, up and down. Very easy to go down. You know, the bucket, you just let the handle, it goes down. Very difficult to go up. And as we travel up and down, we get battered against the walls. Can you see? That's it. That's us. And again and again and again and again. When it's going well, instead of practicing how to get out of how to cut the rope, you know, we kind of get lost in pleasures. And when it's going bad, we can't practice either because I'm not well. Yeah, so this is it. Chandrakirti. Okay, entering the middle way. Thank you. Yeah, see, yesterday I didn't even know that Atisha was the root of the Lam Rim, which we are studying. This is how bad it is, you know. Okay, so constantly moving from high to low. To go to low, very easy. It goes by itself. To go to high, yeah, if we have positive karma ripening, yeah, but still it doesn't go by itself. Then being alone in this process. This is another thing, you know. Very often we try to cover this fact that in samsara, because we have this mind that goes I and others, we feel alone. But because we don't understand that we're just a part of the universe, because we don't really understand that we are connected to others because of what they do for us with doing their jobs, liking us, not liking us, or, you know, having been mother, father, brother, sister, and so on. Because we don't understand that fact, then we feel alone. And as long as we have I and others, we will experience these feelings of loneliness. Again, you know, we can cover them up by having a phone that we call somebody when we feel lonely, or we do something when we feel lonely. But then again, if we really sit without doing anything and we just stay with it, we say, yeah, this is true. And we experience it, especially when we don't feel well. As Iris was saying, you know, when you're not well and other people want to cheer you up, nobody can feel your pain. Even though they also have experienced it, but they can't feel it. Nobody can take it away from you. We are born alone, we will have to go alone in samsara, with the samsaric mind. The moment we start to practice compassion, love, and altruism, from all alone, we become all one. And I don't know why, because I have tears welling up. I really don't know why, but this touches something in me that is so true. From thinking, you know, all alone, if we start to make the mind bigger and we think all one, we're all the same, you know. All of a sudden, the subtle mind maybe started to, or the heart started to understand something. I'm really surprised, you know, when I tell stories, sometimes I've had tears in my eyes, but I never had this. You know, why tears are welling up right now. Then it's good to stay with this and say, ah, wow. Then we go, this is true. That's the only way. There is no other way to feel this all one than getting rid of our self-cherishing mind. And it's serious, it's really serious. You know, the situation that we're in. We're not as la-di-la, everything is fine. Because death can come any moment. So every moment we have to think about, hey, there's others. Hey, I'm not alone. Hey, actually, there's no I that kind of exists from its own side and all this. I'm not the center of the universe. And we open up our heart. We come closer to reality and to non-duality. Einstein, yeah, who says, human being is part of the universe, limited in time and space. But he has an optical mental delusion to see himself as separate. And that's why we're having problems, because then we concentrate on just a few people that we're nice, and we leave the others as they are. We even get angry at others. And he says, if we want to survive, we need to understand this, that we have to become all one. And all one does not depend on others. All one only depends on me. To understand that I'm part of the universe. So when you have these moments of loneliness, just sit with them, open your heart, and you think, I'm not the only one feeling lonely. It is part of my samsaric existence. And I want to get out of this. Yeah. You see why we meditate so much on suffering, that we get fed up with this, that we say like, every time I'm done with it. And there is a way out of it, and the Buddha is teaching us the way out of it. These methods are to get out of samsara. But first we have to understand, I want to get out of this. You know, as long as we just make our samsara very pleasant, there's not much wish to get out. And then when it starts to get unpleasant, then we have renunciation. But that's not real renunciation. We just want to make the situation better. Yeah. Lama Zopa Rinpoche is like finding, well, you know, I don't have the courage to say these things. And this is why I always say, I didn't say that, this one said it. So you can't blame me. But he says, finding pleasure in samsara is like playing with used toilet paper. You know, babies would do that. Babies would definitely do that. They find the paper, you know, if it's in a bucket, and they start playing with it. But that's why the Buddhists call us the childish, because we play with the wrong thing. Okay, then we have, so these are the 6 sufferings. It's not satisfying. Then we have the 8 sufferings, which is birth. Birth is, you know, we celebrate it as a happy event. But the birth itself, it's talking about the act of being born. I mean, what is so wonderful about this? The mother is screaming, the baby is screaming, there's blood everywhere. Savtas and Saba are worrying, the husband is worrying. It's like, whoa. This is how we come into this existence. So again, you know, we cover it up by making it more wonderful than it is. Sickness. Sickness is not satisfying. This is why we have such good medical systems. I mean, if I look at all the machines they have in the hospitals, I mean, gosh, it's absolutely amazing, you know, but it doesn't make us healthy. That's the other thing, you know, it just cures one thing and then another problem arises. It's just a fixing system, our medical system. It's not a healing system because we still have to die at one point. Yeah. I'm not, again, you know, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying we should stop all pleasures, all medical systems, all this and all that. We would still have samsara, and samsara would get worse and we couldn't practice anymore. It's good to have machines. It's good to have a medical system. It's good to have all pleasures and all this, but it's not the solution. It's not the solution. Oh. Okay, old age, it doesn't have to be unpleasant, but for many people it is unpleasant. Yeah, it's like how much money is being earned, profit, because people don't want to accept their old age. Wow, a lot. And how many old people you know who are truly happy? Oh, I know some, but not many, you know. If you go in a concentration of old people, like a parent's home, it's a very nice name you have in Hebrew. Here in Switzerland, it's old people's home. You call it parent's house, which I find not so nice because I'm not a parent, so I wouldn't be able to go there. You know, if it's only for parents, you can go.
It's more elders.
Oh, elders. But it's when they say, when people talk about old people's home, they always say the parents' house, in a way. I'm going to anyway, so it's more elders. Well, again, you know, elder, old, is one better than the other? So we're not even, you know, we call the old the elderly. Does it make it better that they're old? It's like, you know, you would never call anybody old when they're there. You know, when we meet somebody and after 20 years, and we think, oh, wow, she grew old. We would never say that. We would even lie and say, oh, you still look the same. Yeah, so it's a clear sign. We in our culture, old age is considered as something not so satisfying because we don't say it. The Tibetans, they say, you know, they would say, oh, you look healthy, but oh gosh, you grew old. It's okay. You know, and with the Tibetans, if you look, actually quite a lot of older Tibetans, not everybody also, are quite happy. Because why? Because their meaning in life is to practice for their next life. So they do circumambulations, they do prayer wheel, they mumble mantras, some of them still do prostrations. It's quite rare to find, I don't know how it is with the new generation because they don't practice so much anymore, but it's quite rare to see so many unhappy old Tibetans than so many unhappy Westerners. But also the thing is, you know, they had very difficult lives because they lost their country, they had to flee and all this. So now they're in India or they're in Switzerland or anywhere else. So they have to practice, they have to do the Dharma, they understand karma. And also they continued with their life. They got out of their country and they just made a new life somewhere, you know, instead of getting angry at the Chinese and all this. But that's not because they have it in their genes. This is because they have the Dharma and they practice it. So old age, then death is like, we can also say, well, death is nothing, you know, it's natural, everybody dies, but wait until death comes to you, you know. Then having what you don't want, losing what you cherish, desiring things that you cannot have. And then having these 5 aggregates who serve as a basis for future sufferings, because we have to keep them alive, you know, 5 aggregates, body and mind. We have to keep them alive. We have to keep them healthy. We have to keep them going. So we create negative karma, not intentionally, but just because we exist. There is no way. This is why only liberation is the solution to have lasting happiness, because just having an ethical life is not enough, because we have a body and mind that we need to you know, to keep up and to entertain, whether we want or not. We create either contaminated positive karma or negative karma. These 2 things, you know, being in contact with what we want and having what we don't want. How many times do you meet that fact in a day?
Always.
All the time. And this is what we're doing. This is why we're so active, because we want to get what we want and we want to push away what we don't want. And then it works for a short moment and boom, the next one comes and the next one comes and the next one comes. This is samsara. This is the nature of samsara. And it will be like that as long as we have not understood the causes. And the causes, we talk about them this afternoon. So now we have still 2 minutes left. And we can start this afternoon with a discussion again, but I think I really want to go into the negative emotions. So we have 2 minutes left. So you stay in front of your screen and you watch. What kind of suffering is going on at the moment? And you stay with it. And you say, yeah, this is not satisfying. And you try not to do anything. And by not doing anything, I mean also not to breathe. We start to understand we have to do certain things in order not to die. If you breathe in and you try to hold your breath, you will understand I am forced to breathe out. I have no choice. If you become a Buddha, you will have a light body which doesn't need any care. But you can then take on a human body in order to benefit, in order to teach, lead, guide beings to that same state, okay? But then all this will not be dissatisfying, because the reason for taking on a human body will be compassion in order to benefit others. At the moment, we have a human body because our ego, our I, is attached to existence and wants to have a body that it can identify with. Or maybe you have the suffering of not understanding what I said, or not being able to piece it together because it's the first time you hear it. Maybe you are unhappy because it's frightening when we look at this the first moment. The more you hear it, the happier you become, because the less we are kind of reacting in a strong way when things go wrong, when things don't go the way we wanted them to go. So don't worry about hearing about suffering. It will not make you depressed, maybe at the beginning. But again, out of experience, I can tell you, and I'm sure others can tell you also, we become more calm and more peaceful because we are more in touch with reality when we think about the First Noble Truth, that everything is in the nature of suffering. Whatever we touch, see, hear, smell, or think. if we touch it with a mind or with an attitude, I and others. If we touch it with an attitude of, oh, this should belong to me and it is permanent. Or if we touch it with an attitude of, oh, this is pleasant, and not understanding it leads to suffering. So thinking about the suffering of samsara, first noble truth, is so important, although we don't like it at the beginning, but it is vital for renunciation and to find lasting happiness. So don't be afraid. You will not get depressed. If you are depressed at the moment, just stay with it, with compassion, because it's the compassion for ourselves and for others which will produce renunciation. I want to be well. I want to be free from suffering. I want to be free from creating again and again and again the causes for suffering. I'm sick and tired to be under the control of my unhelpful emotions. And then look what happens. Okay. So now it's lunchtime. Am I right or am I not right? I think I'm not quite right, is it?
We were supposed to be till 1.
Yeah,
but,
we still have time.
But you said you want to finish early, so
yeah. So I said we want to finish early, so then we do make the lunch break now. I was kind of under the thing that we finished at the 1:15, but I still would have 45 minutes, but that's fine if it's fine for you. Because now you will have, well, it's 12:15. It's okay for you to eat, because here it's only 11:15, but I can eat anytime. So you will have the suffering of having to decide what you want to eat. Unless, again, here I'm just having one kind of things, vegetables. So it's very easy to decide because I don't have more. So it's fine. So we will continue at 1:30 is okay. So it's a little bit more than an hour.
Perfect.
Huh?
Yes.
Is that okay? Or you need more time?
No, for me, it's okay.
For Dalit is okay. And so it's always the people who know what, it's always
for all of us.
okay. So anyway, so then we start again at your time, 1:30, yeah?
Okay, until 4?
Until a little bit before 4. No, maybe even before that. We see how far we go. So maybe until 3:30 or something. So we have 2 hours. That will be enough. So we go on until 3:30. Okay? So 1:30 to 3:30. To 3:30 your time, because you see in Switzerland we're 1 hour behind. So this is why I get mixed up sometimes. So your time 1:30 to 3:30, my time 12:30 to 2:30, because Geshe-la starts at 3 o'clock. Yeah, now it's clear. Thank you very much. Great. So enjoy your lunch again before you eat it. Try to think about all the people who have produced it. It will make your lunch so much nicer, really, because your heart will be open. Yeah, you say thank you, Mother Earth, the elements, the rain, the sun, the wind, Earth itself, the beings who work in the fields. And then you think, the purpose of my life is to be able to repay that kind of effort that you made, or your kindness. May I at least never, ever harm you. And thank you very much for having produced that food, which I will see as nourishment for my body, not a source for happiness. The source for happiness is the gratitude, the connection that we have, being able to give something back also. That is the source for happiness. And so I see it as nourishment. I eat it without attachment, without aversion. not to feel, not to look good, not to, not even to feel good in order to benefit others, but not to look good, not to be beautiful, whatever. I eat it as a nourishment so I can continue with my practice and benefit others. Then even your lunch becomes very beneficial and creates merit, right? Then if you can offer it to all the realized beings before you eat it out of gratitude also, that creates a lot of merit, So we can use everything to create merit, but we have to think about it and we have to do it. So it's easier if we do it in a group retreat, because then we do it as a group. So if you want to think about this before you put it in your body, then, or you can think, all the bacteria and even viruses maybe that we have in our body, I am feeding them. So then again, it creates a lot of merit instead of my food, Even though these bacteria are in your body, you say my liver, you say my heart and all this. When you have bacteria, because we do have a lot of bacteria in the body that we need, do we say my bacteria? No, they become the bacteria, the virus, isn't it? Anyway, enjoy your lunch. Bye.